What up, you limp biscuits?
What?
I don't know. I cut you off at the first thing I could think of.
Welcome back, everybody, to this, and we're gonna play more. And there was a tie in the poll, and everybody was fighting over what the fuck did I do?
You right-clicked.
Everybody was fighting over whether Marva should be next or if Nike should be next. But they had a tie. So fuck them, we're doing Fozzer first. Yay!
He looks the most chill,
Yeah.
but he's probably not. Because now I know he's a shill. And that's not very chill. Dang it, chill's the word I used first. I was gonna go on a rhyming tangent, but I fucked it up. So anyway, you crash landed on Alternia 16 long episodes ago. Hey, it took us more than 16. This is episode 65. Fuck you. And
we really stretched out our stay here. We got all the discounts on I don't know, Expedia. That's a travel website, right?
We stopped and smelled all the weed plants. And sometimes you feel like you've been here forever. You've had many adventures and met many Alternians, some/all/none of whom have become your friends. Have become, I say. But now, for some reason, you have a hunch that you're near the end of your Alternian travels. For one thing, you seem to be coming to the edge of the populated region you've been walking through all the time you've been here. For another, the intense craving that has animated you throughout your journey feels like it might be waning. It's not quite gone, but it's like a diner who's stuffed himself to bursting but is still seeking that last sweet morsel that will make his meal complete. You're still on the prowl for the very sweetest morsel of friendship. It threw me off because friendship wasn't on its own little text box room.
It's not always.
I feel like it is. So, Father Velius...
Father?
Apparently. Or Marvis Zalato.
Fozzer is the real leader of the clown church.
I can't hear you.
We're not playing his route. Go back to Fozzer.
I can't hear you.
Hey.
He's like, this guy? This guy?
Yes, that guy. Fuck you, Marvis.
It's like, me?
Yeah, you. Hey.
This guy?
Hey. Get.
To Father Yelvis.
What? Yeah, right. So you're voicing this guy, so I'm right. Anyway. The night has turned foggy, and you can't see far in any direction, but you seem to be surrounded on every side by bare ground, hummocked and pitted, almost like a weird abstract sculpture and covered with greenish moss.
Cool.
Based on the experiences you've had with Alternian flora, you imagine the moss is probably poisonous, acidic, explosive, or something of that nature.
Explosive moss is no joke. It creeps up on you. It goes...
Also, just the music, it's like all...
Yeah, nice sign.
Yeah.
Materializing out of nowhere.
Suddenly, a shadow looms up out of the darkness, making you jump. But it's only it's only a leaning signpost. As you move closer, you can see that the sign says, "Welcome to Happy Absence Pit Park."
Cool.
Before you can figure out what that might be, you hear a voice muttering to itself in the fog, and a sound like dirt being shoveled.
Shovel, shovel, toil and trouble. Low bloods of the world unite.
Oh, that is spooky. You move cautiously towards the voice until the figure of a troll emerges from the fog. He seems to be digging in the hard, bare ground.
There is a tide in the affairs of trolls which
I'm
take
sorry,
a night.
one sec. He's kind of like... He's like a disheveled, kind of adorable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, my brain is giving me whiplash with you giving him that kind of voice. Like if this was the way that, what's their name? Gunny Gills? Gunny Gills? There's this person who's John Bother, all like, bony crypt keeper looking guy.
Mm-hmm.
If it was drawn like that, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is the perfect voice, but I'm just look at how round and adorable he is.
Yeah, I see it. But it's like he's introduced. Like if I hadn't seen his picture at the title card, okay?
Yeah.
Then like he's introduced with this Shakespearean nonsense with the creepy music. I'm just like, before he appears, that is the right voice.
True, very true. Can I just say that some of his sprites, there's just something about them. I don't know what it is, but you'll I think you'll see it more maybe whenever we see more of his sprites. But he kind of makes me think of a Mega Man character. I think it's something about like the arms and the eyes. I'm not sure. Like just barely, like Mega Man vaguely hinted. Not that people are hinting at him being a Mega Man character. I'm talking about like you know like whenever you're drawing in an art program and you change the opacity of a layer, and you're like, should it be this? And you show it, or should it be this? And you change the opacity by like, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2%. This doesn't make sense, does it?
See, I'm pretty sure it would, but as per usual, I was sort of lost in my own thoughts because I was like, wait, this guy's singing, isn't he?
Is he?
Probably. Like this it doesn't rhyme here, but I'm just like,
but go back. It's shovel, shovel, toil, and trouble. That's like a reference to what's that movie called? There's like these witches.
Yeah.
And I that part wasn't a song in that movie.
Well, true enough.
I think it led to a song, but maybe.
You know, I think it's just because of all these dang underscores. I know that's just his thing.
Yeah.
Probably because he digs holes.
Oh.
But like,
I wasn't sure why that was a thing, but it probably is because those are like little holes or something.
Shovel, shovel, toil and trouble, low bloods of the world unite.
I think it was better whenever it was just spoken because it was all mysterious.
But he's like, what? Hey there, everybody! If I had a Goofy impression, I would give it to him, but I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, pardon me. I try to do the Goofy laugh and it turns Pegasus. Or not Pegasus, James.
Anyway, I don't actually have a good voice in mind for him outside of just, I don't know.
I'll probably mutate into something as we go along.
I mean, you can go to your creepy thing if you want. I'm just... Yeah, I don't know. He's a very politically minded fellow, if that tells you anything about voices.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Yes, Jack. Anyway. There is a tide in the affairs of trolls, which, taken at the flood, leads to the workers' paradise. Yeah, I don't get it. It feels like it's supposed to be a song to me.
I don't
Maybe
think
it's not, but it just feels like it to me. Boink.
One sec. Bleh. Anyway. Not sure if that was something I wanted to edit out or not, but anyway. You clear your throat, and the troll turns swiftly.
Who's there? Who's there, I say?
He sounds like a villain from Scooby-Doo. You announce soothingly that you're just a poor wayfaring?
Wayfaring?
You're just a poor wayfaring stranger.
Cool shovel.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, I like his shovel.
It is a nice shovel.
Not a ghost or any nonsense like that.
You confirm that you are not.
Good, because I don't believe in them. I'm a dialectical materialist.
He uses big fancy words that confuse me.
Well, if you're not a ghost, who are you?
You explain that you're a humble alien who recently, well, not so recently, landed, well, crashed, on Alternia, and who's been looking ever since for... Maybe hear you blushingly trail off into a mumble.
The troll's... Sorry.
The troll snorts and comes close to study you. His breath is not of the freshest.
An alien? Well, you are the color of cheese. But it could be makeup. You could be a high-blood in disguise, come to watch poor little Father Velius pursuing his humble profession of pit perturber for some unknown reason of your own.
Falzer rubs the exposed skin of your arm to see if the makeup will come off. It doesn't, but he's still suspicious.
A real alien would know what outer space is like. Describe outer space to me.
You describe attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion and watching sea beams glitter in the dark near the
Tannhauser?
Tannhauser Gate. You express the belief that all those moments will be lost in time like tears in the rain. These authentic depictions seem to satisfy Falzer. He nods his head and seems to think. He doesn't appear to be a fast thinker. Finally, he seems to have an idea.
Do the cheese entities where you come from have a strong consciousness of class struggle?
You have no idea what he's talking about, but you are always good at guessing the right answer on multiple choice tests. You assure him that the people where you come from have such a strong consciousness of class struggle that they use it to jack up their cars where they get flat tires. A big smile overspreads Falzer's face, and he pumps his fists in the air.
Pleased to meet you, comrade alien. All power to the workers. I imagine that finding me performing the honest labor of working class makes you feel right at home.
Yeah, like...
He's turning Irish in my vocalizations, but he's using Russian expressions.
But I think this is like one of the sprites. I'm like, yeah, you're vaguely, ever so slightly triggered the yes, Mega Man in my brain, just aesthetically.
Okay.
I don't know, he's adorable. You assure him that it does.
I like that his sign is a girl with pigtails. And a long neck.
You know, I don't know what it made me think of, but like beforehand, but like I think I probably translated those swoop-de-doops as horns and not pigtails, but now it just makes me think of Chahut's sign.
Yeah.
Which also has some swoop-de horn pigtail nonsense going on.
I suppose that you wish you could share in the simple proletarian joys and sorrows of the Alternian oppressed classes.
You're not sure what proletarian means, but sharing joys and sorrows sounds like a hopeful prelude to friendship. So you say you were just thinking that you would like to share that kind of joys and sorrows.
Easily done, comrade. Here, take this soil perturbation lance. You can enter into solidarity with the Alternian working class right now. No, don't thank me. Freedom, brotherhood, and equality is my motto. Conduct your perturbations right here, if you please.
He points you to where he was shoveling, and you begin shoveling there too. The moss that covers the ground is tough as leather, and the Alternian soil is rocky, hard, and unforgiving. No surprise there. And before long, you're sweating profusely. But no exertion is too great for the pursuit of friendship. Falzer watches you labor with brotherly satisfaction.
Class solidarity is a wonderful thing, isn't it? From each according to his ability to each according to his need. You look like a walking cheese, but your muscular development is impressive. So just to pass the time while you labor in solidarity, what do you think of our planet? What has been your impression of it on your visit from outer space?
You suppose it's no worse than a lot of places, with some good points and some bad. It is by far the worst fucking place you've ever seen or heard of! Where the hell is the cursor? There it is. Well, I'm gonna pick the top one, because that feels like the right answer to me.
Oh, okay.
I'm playing, by the way.
Yeah. Did we mention that?
Probably, I don't know.
As a guest, it's only polite to say nice things about your host's home planet. Besides, meeting Falzer has stoked your desire for a sweet friendship morsel, and a little praise and flattery often goes a long way to make people like you. So with the little breath you have to spare from your digging, you tell Falzer that you've found Alternia most interesting. The fierce rush of life here induces a salutary wakefulness, and boredom is virtually unknown. Also, the social structure arising from the hemospectrum and the multidimensional relationship matrix is very unusual, producing a fascinating array of possible interactions among people. You are looking forward to the day when you can tell your grandchildren about it. Father doesn't look as pleased as you'd hoped.
So you find Alternia agrees with you?
Oh yes, very much, you pant.
You find it interesting and fascinating.
Definitely. I like how you were given Vickery, like a Russian accent for a little while until we changed it to the radio voice, and now
I forgot that was a thing.
and now he has a father is getting a voice that's like some kind of weird Russian Irish blend thing.
I hope a Russian and an Irish person find this video and both disagree with you.
To you, the spectacle of those who happen to have been born with certain blood colors exploiting and oppressing those who have not is just a picturesque detail.
Both of them, just both the Irish person and, or did I say Irish or Scottish?
You said Irish?
Yeah, both the Irish person and the Russian are both like, nah, this is just a Scottish accent, man. Friggin' you with your crazy, don't know accents. Ugh.
I'm American. I don't have to know accents.
Well, you wouldn't go so far as to.
You find nothing objectionable in society where the strong kill the weak at will, based on nothing more than the color of a bodily fluid, where the upper classes see the lower as little more than inanimate objects whose only purpose is to serve them, where the world-corrupt society is structured solely to breed cannon fodder for a psychotic empress's mad plan to conquer the entire galaxy, more peoples to oppress.
That certainly wasn't what you.
While the streets run with rust, orange, and gold blood, you stand unconcernedly and remark how interesting and fascinating Alternia is. While the fish people and their bluish lackeys strike the pap from the mouths of low-blood wrigglers, you smile pleasantly and remark how unusual Alternia is.
Certainly not. But one can't judge other cultures by one's own.
Oh, you can't dodge your class responsibility that way, you cur. You so-called intellectuals try to hide your fawning civility to the bosses by pretending to view society objectively, without moral judgments, when all the time you're simply crypto-imperialist lapdogs.
But...
And you come to the happy absence pit park pretending solidarity with the oppressed. Pshaw! I see now that you're nothing but a cat's paw off the oppressor class. Nothing but a cheese-colored Judas Iscariot sent as a spy.
Judas Iscariot.
Traitor, bootlicker, sycophant, murderer, monopolist, profiteer, slave trader, cannibal, parasite, technocrat, gangster, ectoplasm.
One sec. I find it weird that he's like... That... Because Judas Iscariot, that's not a troll name, because it doesn't conform to the 6x6 lettering thing.
Right, Judas Iscariot is an Earth thing.
I know, but like, where's he getting that from?
Space YouTube.
No, you try to object, but Falzer seizes the shovel from you and turns away.
Turncoat, narc, double-crosser, weasel, hijacker, vulture, Visigoth, breathalyzer.
You watch his back recede into the fog, your heart sinking with the wreck of your hopes and dreams for friendship.
Game over and such.
I will say, his fit is, like, much less startling with your voice than with me being like, oh, you're so adorable, you're so adorable, why are you suddenly mad? Stop being mad at me! Also, I don't know if I ever got that in whenever I was playing by myself.
Huh. How crazy. Pop.
Should we, because, like, you got the bad end, we normally try to put the bad ends together, but...
Right, so I should get the other bad end. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. You almost made me click on it while I was rapidly hitting A. Boop, boop. Weird, I thought this guy was the one that the other route said was like a shell for the Empire or whatever.
It did.
Okay. So I guess this is one of those things where like, yeah, it's shit, and that's the point. Or whatever.
What?
Because he got mad at me for, like, saying this place isn't the worst thing ever.
You'll see.
Okay.
The feeling comes over you suddenly that nothing can be more important than truth. Truth is at the foundation of all real friendship. Truth sets you free. Honesty is the best policy. So you take a deep breath and say that you hope you won't give offense, but that, in your opinion, Alternia is the nastiest, ugliest, cruelest, most inhospitable, most unfair place you've ever seen or heard of in a long life of travel and study. Even the planets are bloodthirsty. Even the plants are bloodthirsty. Even the soil is hard and mean. You've made some/many/no friends here, but you've heard it's also possible to make friends with lions, bears, killer whales, and other wild and dangerous creatures. In fact, often here on Alternia, you felt that you've been locked in a cage with a bunch of such wild and dangerous creatures. As you've talked, you've been watching Fawzer anxiously for signs of anger. You're surprised to see that. Instead, he seems to be loving it.
And what about our political system?
You've already put your foot in it, so you go ahead and put the other one in it too. You express the opinion that a violent, rigidly stratified, insectile social structure created solely to generate soldiers for a mad project to conquer the entire galaxy might raise eyebrows in some quarters. You admire natural selection and survival of the fittest as much as the next person, but this is overkill on a titanic scale. As you've been speaking, Fawzer's smile has grown wider and wider, and he has shown other signs of approval, such as jumping up and down and whirling around. He pumps his fist in the air.
Forward to perfect socialism! It's so good to talk with someone who hasn't been hypnotized from wrigglerhood with counter-revolutionary pap. Someone who sees conditions on Alternia for what they really are, who sees the evil of the High Bloods. Someone who will march in the vanguard of the workers' revolution to face unflinchingly the onslaught of the aristocracy, perhaps, nay, probably, to die in a hail of bullets, but never turn their back on the people.
Okay, so he is a socialist. Like, people in the online, he was like communist, and I was like, wait, was that the word he used? I thought he used a different word. I don't know much about politics, because I'm dumb as dirt, but I'm pretty sure those aren't the same thing. They're, like, similar, but not the same.
Yeah, that is correct.
Anyway.
Let me embrace you, comrade alien.
He does so. He's oily and smells like mossy soil and pore ooze, but this does not dampen your spirits. What better preamble for making a suggestion of friendship? Agreeing with people about politics never fails to bring friendship closer. But before you can bring it up, Fawzer, having first kissed you on both cheeks, continues.
But we mustn't allow our celebration of the People's Revolution to interfere with the honest labor that enables us. I'm holding you back from your ticket to the workers' paradise.
In Nobles.
Well, isn't that a funny word?
Yeah.
Please proceed with your soil perturbations. All power to the people. Death to arbitrary hemospectral discrimination. Forward, comrade!
He waves his hand with a flourish, and you start digging again. You wonder if it would be just as revolutionary if you traded places so Fawzer could do the digging and you could do the speechifying, but you don't wish to disturb the perfect harmony now existing between the two of you. Instead, you use your little available breath to inquire what all the soil
Perturbation.
is, and
Perturbation.
perturbation?
Yes, as in perturb.
Yeah, I know, I don't know what I said before, but anyway. What all this soil perturbation is in aid of.
I hope the audience can hear me smiling. Because I'm smiling very deeply. Just because I got you so hung up on that word. I perturbed you. Something fierce. Perturbated you, in fact.
Why, a coal pit, of course. Didn't you see the sign? This is the Happy Absence Pit Park Fawzer Valius proprietor. Alternia's reactionary tradition is to just put dig coal pits anywhere without a second thought. But our revolutionary future demands that we have more respect for the dead, so I've created this wonderful innovation, the Pit Park.
Put our dig coal pits. Their tradition is to just leave dead bodies lying around so stuff can eat them.
Well, there's a clown concert being held not far from here, so I anticipate a brisk demand shortly. Best to be ready for these things. Having a lot of dead clowns lying around rotting on the property is unpleasant, not to mention unsanitary. Let them underground, pronto, is our motto here at the Happy Absence Pit Park.
Why'd you say that, Bunny?
Because he put it in quotations. So I assumed he was doing it in a character. I don't know.
I usually just read that as like, you know, like, you kind of emphasize it to be like...
Well, I mean, sure, but I am much more interesting than you.
Get them underground pronto is our motto here at the Happy Abstinence Pit Park.
But see, is our motto and all that jazz isn't in quotations. Therefore, you didn't properly emphasize.
Having a lot of dead clowns lying around and rotting on the property is unpleasant, not to mention unsanitary. Get them underground pronto is our motto here at the Happy Abstinence Pit Park.
Is that your voice for this guy? Because it's way different from mine.
No, that's just my advertiser voice. I just wanted to read that as...
He's like, what's wrong with you? I don't sound like that. I don't know what I do sound like. My accent seems to be changing all over the place, as well as the general tone of my voice, but come on.
I think that voice is growing on me, though.
Same.
Anyway. You're wondering privately whether a little class solidarity wouldn't be extended to Purple Bloods, remembering your dear friend Carico... I almost pronounced it Pyrot. Your dear friend Carico Piero, when Fawzer seems to give a jump.
No, that is not ghosts.
Grateful for an excuse to stop digging, you turn to look in the direction Fawzer is staring, leaning on your soil perturbation lance. You don't see anything but fog. You ask what is not ghosts.
Nothing is. I'm a dialectical materialist, and if any ghosts come around the Happy Absence Pit Park, they should be aware that I won't believe in them, so they might as well go somewhere else.
Man, it really sucks to be like a Rustblood who, like, he's clearly like afraid of ghosts.
Yeah.
And just Rustbloods are specifically the blood caste that speak to ghosts.
Huh.
Yeah, right. You confess that you don't see anything but foggy darkness and humped and pitted ground, where you now guess piles of cold Alternians' exoskeletons are buried in the coal pits.
You don't see any ghosts because there's no such thing. But the past few nights I thought I saw beams of light shining up out of the ground. Almost as if, metaphorically of course, some of the exoskeletons in the coal pit had gotten hold of some flashlights and were shining them up through chinks in the soil. Look, there it is again.
This time you see it. A column of light that flashes up through the fog is gone. And is gone, seeming to come from a crack in the ground, which it briefly illuminates in blinding white. Fascinated, you move toward the crack, which is now dark and invisible again.
What are you doing?
You look at Fawzer in surprise. He seems terrified. You ask tactfully whether he doesn't think you ought to see what that is. For example, it could be some infrastructure malfunction that could blow the Happy Abstinence Pit Park and all of its inhabitants, living and dead, sky high. You're not even sure they have infrastructure in Alternia, but one can't be too careful.
Well, maybe you're right. We are fearless revolutionary cadres, after all.
You can hear his teeth chattering. You move toward where you think the flash came from, Fawzer close behind you, peering over your shoulder. You can't help wondering where he'll be when the vanguard of his revolution is braving hails of bullets. You very much hope that his revolution, if it ever comes, won't happen while you're around. Just then, a whole series of lights flash silently up from the ground, making columns through the fog. Fozzer jumps and howls behind you.
Non-existent!
You tell him there's undoubtedly a logical explanation, though you have to admit that you had a weird feeling just now when the lights appeared, like a momentary dizziness or feeling of discontinuity. But you're more curious than ever now. Murmuring comforting things to Fozzer, you start digging right around where the lights you just saw came from. Then it's weird, because you break through some kind of thin crust, as if the soil in that particular place is just a few inches thick over a brittle surface that your shovel goes right through like old pottery. You wonder whether you've inadvertently dug into an old coal pit, but what would bright light be doing coming out of an old coal pit? And in some weird way, it doesn't feel like a coal pit. It feels like something metaphysical, like reality itself is particularly thin right in that spot, and you've broken through the very fabric of it with your soil perturbation. Perturbation. I did so good.
Perturbation, Lance.
With your soil perturbation, Lance.
I love that you're just going to be stuck on that now. You are perturbed indeed.
You dig around the edges of the hole, enlarging it until it's about a foot wide. The darkness within makes the darkness of the Alternian night seem bright by comparison. It's so dark that the soil falling into it and the part of your soil perturbation lance poking into it seem to vanish completely, as if on the other side of that hole reality itself gives out. This kind of makes me think of, like it didn't before, like when I played this by myself, but now reading it again, kind of makes me think of, you remember in Kariko's route, like the sky got like, what was it? It was like it got darker than darkness or some shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, kind of makes me think of that. You and Fozzer stare curiously down into this hole. Suddenly, a blinding but strangely blank light bursts up out of the hole into your faces, and at the same time there's a deafening sound which seems to vibrate the very framework of reality, like a gigantic needle scratching a gigantic record.
Interesting.
You're standing in the foggy night holding a soil perturbation lance that has been handed to you by Fozzer Velius. He points to where he's just been digging, and you begin digging in the same place. The moss that covers the ground is tough as leather, and the Alternian soil is rocky, hard, and unforgiving. No surprise there. And before long, you're sweating profusely. Got any comments about this?
It's very Twilight Zone-y. And I do like that.
But you feel strange, like you were just standing somewhere else, doing something else, seeing something else. The after images of a blinding light and a deafening sound seem to linger in your eyes and ears, but around you is nothing but dark fog and bare ground humped and pitted. You must have had a dizzy spell. You shake it off and begin perturbing the soil. No exertion is too great for the pursuit of friendship, after all. Fozzer watches you with satisfaction.
Honest work is a wonderful thing. All hail the old regime, eh? You look like a walking cheese, but your muscular development is impressive. What do you think of our planet? What has been your impression of it in your visit?
So, like, I'm assuming, since something about him being a shill, now the top one is the correct one, right? Or is it now that... I feel like if I do the bottom one, that'll be the bad route, because that'll take me back to where I were. But
we did the other bad route in this recording, right?
Right.
I feel like I should stay by the whole not saying what route does what.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you, but I don't know.
I'm going to trust my instincts and say that now something weird has changed in him, and if I go to the top one, it'll be different.
I mean,
granted, your character seems to be the same, so really maybe he'd be... he would have a weird thought if you, like, went and did the bottom one again and tried to go to the thing and... Look, I'm gonna do the top one. Good with you? Look, I'm gonna do the bottom one. Because the top one clearly was not good with you. Master of subtlety, indeed.
I never claimed to be a master subtle person. Like,
I know. I am. I'm such a master that I make up bullshit details for myself to pick up on.
I'm confused.
Boy, which one? Which one of these buttons do I push?
So you want me to pick?
Yeah.
Are we trying to get the bad route?
Yes, because keep it there to our normal sketch.
But the audience can't find out.
But yeah, the bottom one.
Okay, so I was right, yeah.
Weren't you gonna do the top one at first?
No, at first I was going to do the bottom one because I assumed the top one would be different now.
Yeah, and then you were like, well, no, I'm gonna do the bottom one because that didn't sit right with you, and then we had that whole conversation, and...
But I was on before even that. Before even that, this conversation extended before that part. But you forgot. Because of the time beam. Or whatever.
Quit hurting my brain.
I'm not doing it. You're doing it. Anyway. Read!
Yeah, I'm going to, but you were making noises over there going, oh... Anyway. Don't make snoring noises while I'm reading. The feeling comes over you suddenly that nothing can be more important than truth. Truth is at the foundation of all real friendship. Truth sets you free. Honesty is the best policy. So you take a deep breath and say that you hope you won't give offense, but in your opinion, Alternia is the nastiest, ugliest, cruelest, most inhospitable, and most unfair place you've ever seen or heard of in a long life of travel and study. Even the plants are bloodthirsty.
Deja vu indeed.
Even the soil is hard and mean. You've made some/many/no friends here, but you've heard that it's also possible to make friends with lions, bears, killer whales, and other wild and dangerous creatures. In fact, sometimes here on Alternia, you've felt that you've been locked into a cage with a bunch of such wild and dangerous creatures. No doubt you could have anticipated that blunt honesty like this would give offense, and indeed it seems to have done so. As you finish your remarks, Fawzer is frowning darkly.
So, you've come to Alternia as an uninvited guest, only to criticize and judge our civilization, eh?
No.
You know enough about our society, our billions of years of evolution, and our painstaking rise from the mud-dwelling insectile ancestors, the political and sociological theories of our statesmen, philosophers, and scientists to make those judgments, do you?
Well...
No doubt you've done studies establishing what would happen if the hemospectrum groups were placed in different relations to one another. If, for example, rust bloods were the highest group in the fuchsia, and the fuchsia bloods the lowest?
Well, no, but...
I suppose your planet is so similar to Alternia that you have a firm basis on which to apply your preconceptions to us.
Not at all, but...
And surely your aliens are similar enough biologically and physiologically, or psychologically, to trolls to know how we feel about our own society? I thought not. I guessed from the very first that you were nothing but a dilettante, forced socialist pseudo-intellectual spouting your ivory tower theories without the least idea what you were talking about. Well, smarty pants, alien, I suggest that you take your cheese-like person and your theories home to your own planet. It won't be long before her most high imperial condescension conquers your arm of the galaxy, so that we Alternians can return the favor by standing in judgment over your society and politics. In the meantime, I bid you good siderium.
And with that, Fawzer Velius seized his soil perturbation lance, as well as your hopes and dreams, and stalks off into the foggy night.
But to be clear, that is more or less what I expected to happen.
Yes.
Initially.
Yes.
Okay. Why is our... Where is our face?
This
our mouth-
face? That's an eye. This
Yeah?
is a mouth.
Okay.
That's like dirt or some shit.
I thought these two were eyes, and the mouth was going up vertically to the face for no apparent reason.
I
Like
also
this was
thought
some
that for
weird-ass
a second, honestly.
Emoji in Homestuck that I don't know about.
There is a weird emoji in Homestuck, but it... There is a weird emoji in Homestuck, but it has a question mark, and it looks nothing like that in any way.
Also, he's flipping us off.
Yes, he is. He's a jerk like that.
Yeah.
Now he's a jerk.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm confused as to, like, his political views are different now. But like in the other bad ending, he didn't flip us off. He just walked off. So is his personality slightly different, or is it just I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
Though in Daria's route, MC mentioned like getting injected with friendship serum or whatever. And I'm like, was Fozzer injected with what's the word?
Belligerence.
No, not that. The that thing where you're proud of your country where you're from.
Belligerence. Patriotism.
Patriotism, yeah.
Maybe.
Anyway.
Catch you cool crispy cats next time.
Cool crispy cats.
Dude, there's no flavor better than crispy.
What?